Hi everyone, Veronica with Daily Foods here, and we're back in the daily kitchen today. I'm going to share with you how I make a super simple, super easy, and healthy bread mix that is made with just 3 simple ingredients and does not require any yeast. So what you're going to need to prepare this bread mix is a food processor, a bag of organic whole wheat flour, some organic extra virgin olive oil, salt, I like to use iodized salt, a scale, I like to use a digital scale, some mixing bowls for measuring on the scale. You're going to need a measuring cup so that you can pour the oil very easily, and maybe something to scrape the oil out of the measuring cup. And then you're going to need some freezer Ziploc bags which you have labeled and put the date of expiration onto. So let's get started. All right, the first ingredient is the organic whole wheat flour. I like to use Bob's Red Mill flour for this. You're going to need 608 grams of whole wheat flour. That's roughly about 4 cups of flour. We're going to pour that into our food processor. The second ingredient is salt. You're going to need 6 grams of salt, then add that to the food processor along with the flour. And the third ingredient is going to be olive oil. You're going to need 65 grams of extra virgin olive oil. I like to use a Pyrex dish for measuring the olive oil, and then I like to use something like a pastry brush to scoop all of the oil out and pour it into the food processor. All right, and then we're just going to turn on our food processor. We're going to mix the salt with the flour. Then as the food processor is running, we're going to pour in the olive oil and just let it all mix for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. And this is what the bread mix looks like after it's processed in the food processor for about 30 seconds. Then we're going to just transfer it to our prepared freezer bag, press all the air out, and then it's ready to be used for baking bread. Now here's what the finished bread mix looks like once it's been portioned into the bag. And on the right, you'll see an example of what the bread looks like after I've baked it with some onions on top and some seasonings. So just a quick overview of how to prepare this bread mix is you're going to place it back into the food processor with 1 3/4 cup water. Then you're going to process it for 1 minute and divide the dough into 6 pieces, flatten them out on greased baking sheets, and bake at 450 for 11 minutes. And I'll share a link to the recipe below for how to make this bread mix, as well as links to videos sharing how I've baked this bread mix before. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this bread mix tutorial, and I hope this inspired you to make some yeast-free bread at home using whole wheat flour. All right, I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.